Mr. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body.
In the indictment, it's a phone call allegedly from Big U to his son, right? And he says, don't talk about the murder of RW to nobody. Well, Big U's motive wasn't the rap song. It was that he found out that the rapper and his son, Rayon, were lovers.
This is a rumor that this guy, RW, was having a gay relationship with one of Big U's sons.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, why would you shoot the boyfriend? He'll just go get another boyfriend, if that's the case.
Okay, this one's deeply disturbing, and honestly, it just might be the darkest story to ever come out of the West Coast hip-hop world. Word on the street is that Big U, yes, the so-called community kingpin and Crip OG, might have had blood on his hands in the 2021 killing of a young man named Rayon Williams. And while the public's been led to believe it was about a diss track, those close to the situation say the real reason is way more shocking. So twisted it could shake the whole industry. The Whisperers, they're saying Rayon wasn't just a kid with a mic. He was allegedly dating Big U's own son, Dion Henley. Let that sink in. Rayon, the young man whose life was cut short execution style, may have been in a secret relationship with Dion. And Big U, he allegedly couldn't handle the truth, not just because of personal shame, but because of how it looked. And when you're a powerful figure running a street empire, image is everything.
The rumor that this guy, RW, was having a gay relationship with one of Big U's sons.
What makes this even more heartbreaking is that Big U knew Rayon. He wasn't just some random rapper throwing shots for clout. Big U coached him in football when he was just a kid. Rayon was like family, a close friend to Dion, who later made it to the NFL playing for the Los Angeles Chargers. That's how the bond between Rayon and Dion first started. And according to the underground buzz, that's exactly what Big U couldn't stomach. But of course, not everyone's buying the rumor. Industry insider Whack 100 came out strong saying he's known Dion forever and never saw anything feminine or suspect in his behavior.
Now they're saying, well, Big U's motive wasn't the rap song. It was that he found out that the rapper and his son, Rayon, were lovers.
Wax swears Dion was straight as they come, but let's be real. People live double lives every day, especially in spaces where being vulnerable could literally get you killed.
I've been knowing this young man since he's been about 7, 8 years old, right? There's nothing feminine or nothing gay about Rayon Henley.
But that hasn't stopped the rumors from spreading.
Still, that hasn't slowed down the rumors. If anything, they've exploded. A lot of folks are saying the diss track excuse doesn't hold up. I mean, if every rapper got killed for throwing shade, half the industry would be 6 feet under. So now, people are rewatching old clips of Dion, catching so-called feminine mannerisms they never noticed before. And whether or not that's true, it adds fuel to an already blazing fire. If Rayon was dating Big U's son, and if Big U thought Rayon might expose it, then that gives this whole tragedy a much darker edge. Some say Big U snapped because Rayon had leverage. He knew something that could ruin Big U's reputation, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough to make him act. But there's still the other theory, the music drama. The diss. Before Rayon became a rapper, he was a football player with big dreams. He was even getting recruited by UCLA, but an injury ended all of that. After losing his shot at college ball in 2018, he was back at square one. And during his high school days, Rayon even lived with Big U's family, but things went left when he allegedly stole a chain from Dion and showed it off at school like it was a trophy. Big U kicked him out after that. Still, despite the fallout, Big U reportedly kept helping him with his music dreams. That's when young Judah, Rayon's rap alter ego, was born. By 2020, he dropped a project called Golden Dreams. It was clear Rayon had hope. He was chasing something real. At first, his tracks weren't getting much traction, but he kept going, and the more he rapped, the better he got. He played with auto-tune, pain music, even name-dropped Nipsey by calling himself Ray Hustle. Online, he was living like a star, posting up in fancy houses, flying out to Vegas, but behind all that glam, the drama with Big U was boiling. Big U was allegedly paying for those Vegas trips and music sessions, but instead of grinding in the studio, Rayon was out there watching. Then came that track, The Diss. Rayon recorded a song where he basically threw Big U under the bus, called him a bro that made some money, like he was just a lucky hustler, not a street king. But the scariest part, he straight up predicted his own death. He rapped, "This song can get me killed for thinking it's funny," and he referenced being shot in the face with a .38 that would leave no trace.
Referring to Big U as bro that makes some money. And that unnamed rapper may get shot in the face for thinking that his use of the studio and representation by Unique Music is funny.
And just 5 days later, that exact thing happened. The Las Vegas police found Rayon's body dumped in a ditch. He had been shot in the face with a revolver, just like he said. The details were too specific to ignore. Suddenly, the theory that he got caught lacking over a diss song didn't feel so far-fetched. Law enforcement immediately had their eyes on Big U, and what they found next, it just got darker.
But the track was eerie given what happened next. Just days later, the rapper was shot in the face.
According to records, Big U's music label, Unique Music, paid for Rayon to fly out to Vegas in January 2021. The official reason? A week-long recording session. They booked him an Airbnb and studio time, but Rayon missed a session. That set off alarms. Big U and his right-hand man, Sylvester Robinson, didn't wait. They drove to Vegas themselves. They pressed Rayon, asking why he ghosted the studio. He said he didn't have a ride. The next day, the three of them went to the studio together. No one knows what went down in that room, but what happened afterward. It's straight out of a crime thriller.
On January 24th of 2021, Big U arrived to a studio and RW was there, recording until around midnight. A little after 12:30 a.m., Big U left the studio and his phone stopped reporting his location.
Around 1:00 a.m., surveillance footage shows Rayon returning to the Airbnb. He gets out of a car, picks up a suitcase, then gets right back into the same vehicle. That was supposed to be his final night in Vegas. Instead, investigators say Big U took him way out into the desert, shot him point blank in the face, dumped his body, then drove right back like nothing happened.
About 45 minutes later, surveillance video at the Airbnb showed RW exiting the passenger side of the car and entering the Airbnb. A few minutes later, he left the Airbnb with a suitcase, got back into the car, and left. RW wasn't seen again. He wasn't even supposed to leave Vegas until the next day, but he never returned to the Airbnb. Instead, his body was found on the side of the road near Interstate 15.
Witness told police Big U showed up at the studio around 3:00 a.m., soaked in sweat or maybe water. He claimed he had just come from the gym, but hours later, police found Rayon's body in the desert. Even worse, Big U allegedly tried to cover his tracks. Prosecutors say he removed key equipment from the studio and told someone to delete the surveillance footage. They suspect something went down inside that studio. A fight, a confrontation, maybe even a final threat. And whatever it was, Big U didn't want anyone to see it.
Witnesses told detectives an associate of Big U removed the video recording equipment from the studio a few days after the homicide, including video that would have shown RW and Big U at the studio before he was murdered.
After the murder, Big U reportedly got strategic. He had one of his friends stay at his house and drive his car. That way, if the police were watching his home or tracking his movements, they'd be fooled. They thought he was home. But Big U? He was already gone. To this day, no one knows exactly why Rayon was killed. Was it the diss? Was it the rumored relationship with Dion? Or was it both? What's certain is that this wasn't just another street hit. The feds got involved. Just 1 month after Rayon's body was found, the FBI launched a federal investigation into Big U and his empire. Big U Enterprise. That's when the full scope of this thing started to unravel. When the feds cracked open Big U Enterprise, they weren't just looking at one murder. They were staring down an entire organization, and in March 2025, the hammer dropped. Big U and 18 other Crips were hit with full-blown RICO charges. That's right, federal racketeering. The kind of stuff they throw at mafia bosses, not just music moguls. When the indictment came out, police didn't even have Big U in custody. They thought he'd already run, vanished into the wind. After all, this wasn't just any Crip. Big U was the leader of an operation that allegedly spanned cities, industries, and dirty money pipelines.
Eugene Henley Jr., a career criminal known as Big U, who used his contacts and leadership role in the Crips criminal street gang, the entertainment industry, to further his own criminal enterprise. An enterprise engaged in murder, extortion, robbery, human trafficking, COVID fraud, and other felonies.
Many of those charged were part of the notorious Rollin 60S Crips, but Big U, he had branched off and built something of his own, something cleaner looking, more professional. He called it Big U Enterprise, and on the surface, it looked legit. He had a record label, a charity, he partnered with the city of LA and posed as a reformed leader, helping young kids escape the streets. He was invited to panels, he wore suits, he took photos with city officials, but behind the curtain, it was allegedly all a front.
He has maintained the image of an entertainment industry entrepreneur, running a music label, and of somebody who gives back to the community here in Los Angeles, funding a South LA-based charity.
According to federal prosecutors, Big U Enterprise wasn't about giving back, it was about control. They say it operated like a mafia crew, extortion, threats, intimidation, and silence for anyone who dared step out of line. And what prosecutors said next? It left the courtroom gasping.
The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar, and a cheat, and the criminals that enabled him.
They called Big U a murderer, a thief, a liar, and a cheater. Big U, Muhammad Ali, said next show. Not just a street hustler, a full-blown criminal mastermind hiding behind a non-profit. Turns out even big-name celebs like Draymond Green and Shaquille O'Neal got caught up in the mess. They donated $20,000, 0 cents each, to Big U's nonprofit, Developing Options, thinking they were helping underprivileged youth in Los Angeles. But the reality? Prosecutors claim Big U was pocketing large chunks of that money, stealing from children. He was also running deep with the city's GRID program, that's gang reduction and youth development, basically a taxpayer-funded initiative to keep kids out of gangs. Between 2018 and 2023, Developing Options reportedly pulled in $2,350,000, 0 cents in funding. And guess what? Big U allegedly paid himself hundreds of thousands from that pot. While flashing smiles in public, he was allegedly laundering public money and federal grants straight into his own account. So now the question is, was this man ever really about upliftment, or was he just wearing a mask this entire time? And just when you think the drama couldn't get messier, Big U jumped on Instagram with one last trick up his sleeve. Right before turning himself in, he went live to claim that his downfall was orchestrated. By who? Whack 100. Yes, the same Whack 100 who defended Dion and denied every single rumor. Big U accused Whack of setting him up, working behind the scenes with the feds to get him indicted. But did he drop receipts? No, just heavy implication, no solid proof. Still, he wanted the world to believe he was a target, not a predator. But the public, they weren't convinced. Because if the timeline is correct, if Big U did fly Rayon out to Vegas, then kill him just days later, then erase evidence, then have someone drive his car to fake his location, that's not the move of a community leader. That's the move of someone who's hiding a body, hiding secrets, maybe even hiding shame. And the connection between Rayon and Dion Henley, it's still haunting people. Because if that part is true, if Rayon really was in a relationship with Dion, then this entire case turns from cold-blooded murder into a tragic love story that was buried before it could even breathe. The heartbreak? It's real. Rayon was only in his early 20s. He had lost football, but he was finding his voice in music. And according to his friends, he genuinely thought he was about to make it big. Golden Dreams wasn't just an album. It was his vision board. He believed in something, and in the end, he died with that belief still in his heart. And if this case ever goes to trial, if the tapes come out, if the surveillance footage is recovered, if studio witnesses testify, then we might finally learn what really happened that night in Las Vegas. But until then, the music world waits, the streets whisper. And Rayon's legacy, it's etched in every lyric he left behind, because while Big U may have tried to silence him, his truth is still louder than ever.